Hi everyone, Sheree here. Today I am going to be creating an A5 notebook spread using the beautiful Julia kit from Felicity Jane. I'm using the Felicity Jane A5 notebook. I think this is the Madison window pane A5 notebook, which is still available in the shop at the time of this filming, but there are other pretty colours and patterns available for these in the Felicity Jane shop. So far I've just been doing one spread per month. So this was my January spread, this was what I did for February, and now I'm going to be adding to this with my March double page spread. So what I've got planned, I've got a full page photo here of my scrap area, which I'm going to be scrapping about today. The first page I'm using plain white cardstock as my background. This is Felicity Jane Essentials white cardstock, and they're both sized to fit inside the pages of my notebook. So that's approximately 8 1/4 by 5 3/8 wide. So that's the sizes for those pages. So I've got a bunch of things here ready to use. I'm using some of the die cuts from the die cut packs shape, and I do have some foam squares already behind the ones that I know I'm going to use. I've got my title sorted. I'm using the Julia puffy alphabet stickers for that. I love this colour. I've also got the Julia chipboard buttons. There's a couple here that I want to use, and the Julia stamp set, and I've got the Julia mini wide paper clips as well. I'm thinking I'll be using this diagonal stripe pattern paper from the kit that's on the reverse of the stars there, and I've also cut the branding strip from the floral and stripes paper. I'm thinking of layering those together. I just love the greens in this paper. So I think I'm ready to make a start. I do have my journaling already printed, ready to go, and I've done that in a 3 by 4 size shape. That'll be going onto that first page. And I do also have the epoxy dot stickers here as well. I'm not quite sure if I'll use those, but they're there just in case. Okay, I'm ready to get into it, so I'll pop you on fast forward and show you how I'm going to put this one together. Okay, so to start off with, I'm going to grab my sewing machine and I'm just going to stitch a border around the outside of the white cardstock page. Now that that's done, I've got this packaging piece from the Julia paper pack, and I'm just cutting off that spotty strip from the top of that, and I'm going to layer that in between this gingham branding strip and that stripy strip, and these are going at the bottom of each of my pages. So I'm just working out how much of each I want peeking out. So as you can see, I've stuck them down onto the bottom of the photo, and now I'm adding them to the bottom of that white page. So I've got them next to each other to make sure that they line up between both pages. So right now I'm going to add the wider strip to the bottom, just using double-sided tape for this, because I will be adding stitching to this as well. And now I'm going to tuck those two layered pieces underneath. So again, I'll line it up with the other page to make sure that they both match up perfectly. So I can go ahead and just cut off the excess of both of those. Alright, and then I'm going to grab my sewing machine and I'm going to add stitching to both of those bottom pieces. So I'll just stitch across the top and bottom of each of those wider strips. Okay, so now I've got my Misty and the Julia stamp set, and it's got this cute label stamp in this set. Now I do have a green ink called Wild Wasabi from Stampin' Up. It's not an exact colour match for the Julia kit. However, what I'm going to do is just keep stamping on top of itself, and that's going to make the colour deepen and darken, and that does bring it more in line with the colour from the Julia kit. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to add this phrase that says, "This is happiness," and because I'm using my Misty, it does help me to line that up as best I can. So I'm just making sure that's in the center as best that I can. Then I can close the door of my Misty, pick that stamp up, which I'll do right now, and then I'm going to use some black ink on that stamp. I want to make sure I don't get too much ink on there. Just stamp it carefully down, and I'm really happy with that. So I'll clean off my stamp, and then I'm going to grab my scissors and cut that one out ready to use. So that's done. I'm adding the journaling onto the bottom of that page, and I'm just making sure that I've got enough room for my title and for that butterfly to go at the top. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to grab my sewing machine again and just add some stitching to that journal piece just to add some more subtle texture. So now that that's done, I'm going to add that label using some foam adhesive, just 2 little pieces there, and that's just going at the top of my journaling. So now that's in place, I'm going to add that beautiful floral die cut right at the bottom of the journaling there. And now I'm going to add my title. So this is a little bit fiddly. I'll use my T-square ruler to make sure I get them nice and straight, and I won't make you watch me stick all of them down because it does take me a little while to get them all nicely centered. So I'll just go ahead and do that off camera. So that's done. I'm going to add that butterfly right at the top there with a foam square in behind it to add some dimension. And I'm also going to add a little mini wide paper clip to the side just because there's no real reason to have it there, but I just love those mini wide paper clips. Okay, so next up I've got one of the chipboard buttons going onto this page. I love these chipboard buttons, just working out where I want to put it, and I just end up tucking it under the edge of that floral die cut. Now on the large photo page, I want to create a little cluster over there as well. So my idea is to make a little visual triangle with the other embellishment clusters there. So I've got another chipboard button that says workspace. I've got that smaller floral die cut and another butterfly. So I'm just going to layer them onto the page together there. And I've got a foam square in behind that butterfly. All right. To finish that, I'm going to add one of these little puffy hearts from the Puffy sticker pack. They're the Puffy alphabet stickers, so one on each of those chipboard buttons. Just adding another little pop of colour to those areas. Alright, so now I just need the date to go on my page. So I'm just stamping it onto some white cardstock there using the Felicity Jane roller date stamp. And I was going to use one of the little die cut tags, but in the end I decided it just could get tucked under the edge of that journaling, and that's all it needed. I didn't want it to look overcrowded. So these pages are now done, giving you a closer look at these little embellishment clusters and the stitching. You can see that butterfly and the title there, that stamped label, and that little cluster down the bottom as well. So really happy with how these pages have turned out. I can go ahead now and add them into my A5 notebook. I just use double-sided tape on the back of each page, and they fit really nicely into my notebook. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing how I've put this one together today. I will give you a closer look at that in a second, and I'll leave you with some close-up photos at the end as well. Please let me know if you've got any questions about this one. Just leave it in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And I hope to see you very soon with another project. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye for now.